Swift Tiny Homes has a community-focused mission. We are committed to providing emergency secondary dwellings for people experiencing homelessness. These tiny homes units are built by trainees from Cloverdale Community Centre. Andy Greig is a trainer at the centre and he is also part of our team.
This little tiny home project now, I believe, is really important because it deals with some of the social aspects of community development that are overlooked in the economic development conversation. And this particular process here with Swift Tiny Homes and Cloverdale House out in North Geelong, that collaborative approach. So we bring the registered builder aspect to that. We bring the community context to that through Cloverdale, so they know what the issues are in our social demographic around Geelong. And from my perspective, I'm a trainer and I've had experience in community development, in a bigger picture context around Australia. I believe that this is how we can deliver on social enterprise, which builds social equity. So that's a conversation that we need to have far more broadly in our society, because people don't understand what community or social enterprise does in the community. And basically, in layman's terms, the profits from it's a similar type of business model, but the profits go back into an identified need in the community. So that's community equity that we're building through this process. And that's what this little tiny home process does here. So it ticks those three boxes. So you've got function, form and finish in that context, So community development is not something that can be dictated to by economic priorities. Because in this modern Western world we live in, economic priorities rule the roost. And that gets back to that capitalist system that's become very heartless and soulless. And that's the big struggle. So if you want to zoom out far enough or go upstream far enough to kind of stop the knife wound rather than just putting a band-aid on it, then we go upriver far enough or upstream far enough and we see what is causing the issues in Australia. And we're giving away our resources. We're giving them away. We're paying people, overseas corporations who've got no soul or heart in the community context, taking our resources, and we're paying them to come here and dig it up to supply a few jobs. So I think it's community education is the way forward. So the average punter, the average middle class person in Australia is more focused on the game of football on the weekend and know more about who the players are, who the coaches are, how that whole system works, than how your community works, and that allows then division to come in, and we focus on immigration as the problem rather than understanding that in actual fact houses per capita in the last 4 or 5 years, there are more houses per capita in Australia than there were 5 years ago. So it's a lie. We're being fed a lie that we're being invaded by hordes of people that we can't look after. No, we're being invaded by multinational corporations who are sucking the resources and the lifeblood out of our communities. So I'm doing this because I care for some reason. I can't put my finger on it, but I had a business failure, I had a marriage failure in my early mid-30s, and I think that's an opportunity for me then to readdress things and have a really good look in the mirror and go, well, what actually does make me happy, rather than trying to fill that family obligation to be the next colonist, in our own country. So I guess circumstances I think have created who I am a lot, unless you've suffered some considerable loss, I don't think you actually appreciate what you've got sometimes. Well, that's my story.
Talking about life and happiness, what makes you tick in that regard?
Well, that's a really interesting question. I would answer that way different than when I was a younger man, but it occurred to me that for me to be happy now, it's not about my own comfort or my own well-being, my well-being takes care of itself, right? If my purpose fulfills a need within me that I feel now. So to articulate that better, I think like this now, that my duty to myself and my own well-being is to care for others. So the more I care for others, the better I feel about myself. And that's something you can learn. You can't be told that until you experience it. I had a cousin who committed suicide many years ago. I suffered some depression after a marriage breakdown myself, and I got very close to that dark place myself. And so I think if you have, it's kind of like, you have a lived life experience that kind of creates who you are to a certain extent. So that's how I feel about my own experience and who I am now. So it's no good for me to think that I'm going to get up and go and make $1 million today, because that's not my purpose anymore. My purpose is, well, who can I help today? Who needs help in the community? And I think that's leading really now towards community education, and it gets full circle back to, what is social equity? I'd like to put that in the paper on the front page and just put it there, and then see what comes back. What is social equity? Who knows what social equity is? We do that all the time with sports stars and movie stars, and we idolise all that sort of stuff. Well, let's start talking about the things in our community that are really important. Social equity. What is that? It's an interesting question, isn't it? And again, and that'll take you into the environment and all the aspects of what keep us healthy and have keep our social emotional well-being intact, in good shape.
Our team at Swift Tiny Homes can organise the construction of your tiny house on your property, and we assist you with council-ready plans, engineering, energy ratings, soil testing, double glazing specs, and so on. If you are interested in finding out more, contact us via our website on swifttinyhomes.com.au. It is affordable, practical, and community-driven,